Welcome back to SheCan, where women role models lead by example by telling their stories of how they got to where they are today, sharing their insights and experiences to support and guide others, because it's easier to be what you can see. And I'm really excited to talk to Anna Blakey this morning. Anna, welcome to SheCan. You're a London-based interior designer, founder of AB Design and Interiors. You have a co-founder called Annie. So it's Anna and
Correct.
Annie, which I love. You're doing curated events, signature tablescapes, and you're the hosts of Truffles and Ruffles, where you connect different people around a beautiful table, creative minds, entrepreneurs, journalists, artists, and more. So tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got to where you are today.
Oh, well, thank you, Stephanie. Lovely to meet you. So I studied architecture at university, and uh, which I loved, but found it very frustrating. So ended up working for events, so a company called Imagination for many years, and then ended up freelancing and traveling hugely with it, which I absolutely loved, but possibly wasn't conducive to family life. And so having freelance for a long time, I spent a lot of time, like I say, traveling. And I did this fantastic trip with a girlfriend around Southeast Asia. Sorry, it's a bit of a long-winded, but it will get you to where I am today. Southeast Asia, with a view to write a book called A Bite Out of Southeast Asia or Bite Out of Asia. But when we got back, I was going to illustrate it, she was going to write it. She fell in love. So then I decided I needed to do something with all the fantastic photography, images, and everything I had from our trip. So I made a set of placemats,
Mm,
which was then incredibly hard to find beautiful placemats that weren't your sort of rather fuddy-duddy Lady Claire placemats, which are sort of hunting, shooting, fishing scenes. I wanted
yeah.
them to be of these wonderful markets in Vietnam, and sort of just a memory of our trip around Southeast Asia, which got me thinking that possibly there was a niche in the market for making lovely bespoke table mats. So I set up a company called Scarlet Willow with a lovely girlfriend of mine called Claire. But I think we're a little bit ahead of our time before the world of tablescaping. But I
Mm,
have always loved entertaining. I grew up in a beautiful house in the middle of nowhere in Scotland where the door was always open. My mother was a fantastic hostess, and always the more the merrier. It was never too difficult. And the table became a really, important part of my life, and certainly of my family life, and growing and then getting married and having children. So I set up Scarlet Willow with Claire, and then I sold it after my second child, and came back to my roots of interiors, having studied architecture, I said at the beginning. So I sort of did a full circle to interiors, but I guess there was a little bit of a sort of hangover from my Scarlet Willow days, that I still felt it was very important to bring people around a table. So Annie and I, having worked together for a few years with AB Design Interiors, she came to join me, I guess, sort of 5 years into me setting it up. We felt that within the interiors world, particularly, there was a space to bring like-minded creatives around our kitchen table without using the word networking, because I think a lot of us shy away from that and think, oh, it sounds too corporate or too uncomfortable. And the whole premise of Truffles and Ruffles was we wanted it to be a really thought through, curated guest list. So it's not a table full of interior designers. It's a mixture from antique dealers, marketeers, social media experts, PR, textile designers, wallpaper, a complete sort of, we sort of use the premise as the home, as a sort of loosely to other tableware designers. And we have grown, and it's become a real community, which we absolutely love, and work sort of rather nicely alongside the interiors world. And I think particularly when you work on your own, it's so lovely to meet people, and it has grown into now we collaborate people on with people on our tablescape. So the tablescape is sort of rather not, I mean, I guess sort of by happy accident has become quite a thing, but it gives me so much pleasure, particularly thinking back to my Scarlet Willow days. So that is just a little synopsis of me.
Anna, and I love it. So tell us a little bit more about AB Design and Interiors. What type of design and interiors do you do? And then we'll talk a little bit about Truffles and Ruffles and what sort of, what are the outcomes of these beautiful um, lunches and conversations around a beautifully made up tablescape.
So AB Design Interiors is predominantly residential, um, mainly London. Annie's based Dulwich direction. I'm based normally in Fulham, but currently I'm living on a houseboat in Putney while we're doing up our house in Fulham. Um, and we do really as little or as much as a client would like. Um, I try very hard not to bring my style because I think everyone
Mm,
does have style, although people always say they have no taste. I don't believe that at all. And so it's very much trying to work collaboratively with our clients and design homes that my thing is it's a home, not a showroom. It should be lived in, it should change, it should evolve. And as we know, we change our clothes by the season, but we don't tend to change our house in the same way. And I think people suddenly get sort of like, well, it has to be done. I don't believe a house is ever done because it's as with growing families or whatever it may be, you need something different out of your home. And it doesn't mean you have to move. I think it can be as easy as moving some pictures around. My husband and I have a fantastic or strong art collection, and that is very, for me, very important. So I love to hold my clients' hands with choosing art if they, because often people struggle with that a little bit, which sort of surprises me. And I always say, just put anything on the wall. As soon as you've broken that white wall, be it white or whatever, it becomes so much easier to hang more. And so I love working with my clients, and really, like I say, as little as or as much as they want us to be involved. At the moment, my time is quite heavily taken up with our renovation of our home, which I'm finding exciting. If not, I'm my worst client because I can't make decisions. But I think that's because I've got so much at my fingertips, and I just like, oh, I've got to live with that. Do I want,
yeah.
and trying to make the right decisions and make it a fabulous family house that can grow with us. So
Yeah, wonderful. And what do you feel Truffles and Ruffles? What are the what are your takeaways from doing this for a while? What happens there?
it's an incredible. We, like I say, we started it around my kitchen table when I was in before lockdown. We started it. We sort of touched at it. We did it under the AB umbrella, and I just felt that there was so much we can always learn from other people, and there's so much that we equally can give to other people. And when you're sitting around a table, the conversation, there are no boundaries, as it were. People sort of feel safe. And so we started it, not really thinking where it was going to go. And after lockdown, it sort of became apparent that people needed a space to step away from their desks more and more. And it's grown quite very organically, very slowly. But last year did it, we sort of uh, pushed it a little bit further. We did some out of town. We started doing workshops because people enjoyed what we were bringing together. And at the end of the day, it feels very cathartic. You come away feeling you've met really interesting people. We make sure we do place names, so we sort of think quite carefully about who sits with who. We start off with drinks, and if we see that someone has already spoken, because it's not very many people, and particularly here on the boat, I can only host 8, and normally it's myself or Annie's home, we do up to 12. So 8 is quite a small number, so you need to be
Mm,
quite careful that if they've already spoken. But actually, I would say we did one on Friday on the houseboat. The lovely thing about 8 is you speak as a table, so you have this
yes.
lovely. Whereas when it's bigger, so they're two very different things. But we think quite carefully about who's coming. We very much invite people to approach us. It's not all about us making the invitations and people, and then we sort of it's very exciting. It's sort of come from nowhere, and it's lovely to see what we've enjoyed putting on the table because that's a conversation. So we always make sure the collaborator is part of the lunch so they can talk a little bit about their story. We last year we collaborated with a fantastic marble Nat Mark. She does wonderful marbled paper, and she made us a paper table runner of her, and it was just a lovely, completely different something we wouldn't have
Mm.
necessarily used on the table, but it just worked really nicely. And then afterwards, she talked to all our guests about what she does. We try and make it an extended lunch break because we know how busy everyone is. So we are sort of 12:30 sharp start. We have been fed and watered a delicious three-course lunch where we have a lovely caterer who cooks for us. Um, and so by 2:30 we're fed and watered. And if people can stay for an extra half an hour, that's fantastic. But we do understand people are busy.
Yeah. Anna, I'm wondering, I always think the kitchen is sort of, or the dining area is the heart of the home. That's where we come together. I love that it reflects connection. And what you're reflecting is connection and collaboration, which I think is actually the fix to so many of the issues we have that we need to fix in terms of a society. And I love that it's creating this tablescape where everybody feels immediately sort of pampered and at home, and it evokes so many feelings that is then fostering this connection and this collaboration. So tell us a little bit more about this tablescape. How can we all be a bit more intentional with the space that is sort of the heart of any group, whether that's a family or a friends group or
Absolutely.
actually a work meal.
Mm.
What so it's
Well, I just think I mean, I always probably put a little bit too much pressure on myself when I'm hosting at home. And yesterday we very spontaneously had a lovely family over to lunch. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do? I think you can just have fun. And I think just even having laid a table, be it just a knife and fork and glasses, I would always have candles on the table, regardless. I think they add a sort of warmth and a sort of coziness. Um, I think having dressed a table, it gives that intention of spoiling them. I love playing around with what I put on, particularly because I have a lot of surplus fabrics. I tend to use remnants for tablecloths. I make them into napkins. They're slightly unexpected. They can be something a little bit different. Um, I've often been known to turn them the other way around because sometimes these wonderful, bright, embroidered curtains might feel a bit much for a table, but just turn it the other side and you've still got the lovely design. And I just really think you don't need to have much, but even a napkin, a lovely, not a paper one, a lovely linen, cotton napkin just makes it feel different. I think people just like to feel special, put jugs of water on the table, add bowls of fruit, flowers. I mean, I love flowers, and actually on the boat now, I don't have a garden at my fingertips, but I love going to the flower market, who are struggling hugely since the pandemic. And I think it isn't the most cost-effective place to go because you have to buy in bulk. But often I then share it with friends, take flowers to them. Or, when time's short, you can get lovely seasonal flowers from the supermarket and just a few, 3 or 4 stems in a little bud vase just makes it feel like you've done something special. I don't think we need to go over the top, but like I say, fruit, you can put grapes down the table. You could have loads of different tomatoes, that lovely colors, and you can just have fun. I think just making the table, what we love is people come in and we have drinks first and then they come down and see the table. And it's always that lovely, like, ooh, I love their excitement with what we might have done. And really there are no boundaries or rules really. Just I always think people have fun, but I like you were saying, I think more and more people don't do it enough. I think they
Yeah.
so you need to then make it easier. I personally am not a fantastic cook. My husband, I'm very lucky my husband does cook, but even just a bowl of salad, a plate of cheese and easy. Just it's just bringing people together. And actually, when you sit around a table, I think you really talk.
Yeah, exactly. It fosters that connection and those conversations where people learn and connect and feel good about themselves, and so many good things come out of it. And it's really the heart of a home. So, families coming
Completely.
together. And I feel that we have so many, women leading with this now. They're leading with this. How can we make whether that's Megan or that's Gwyneth Paltrow or whoever it is, they have these, this is a thing now. The table is a thing, and how can we dress it in a way where it's intentional and making it beautiful, and how can we host, and how can we, and I feel that creates a lot of pressure around women.
Mm,
And I feel that a lot of women just, or also men, think, I don't know how to do that.
yeah.
And it's almost this unachievable sort of thing where, everything needs to be always, perfect and beautiful. And it's not about that. It's about
No.
being a bit creative and finding things, and, maybe a couple of candles. It's not that it takes so much to make it into a
No,
beautiful
and I think
space.
and I think it's important people don't feel the pressure, but just open up their home. And I think often people are worried to be, I mean, like I said earlier, people don't worry so much about what they wear, but they've obviously
Mm,
taken time to put it together. And I think your home is a reflection of you, and people just love when people generously open it up and come around your table. It's much more fun than sitting in a restaurant. Yes, it takes a little bit more work, but when you've done it, it's that lovely sense of yeah, connecting and with your friends and I think I don't know, I don't think people do it as much as possibly when I grew up. It was very much my mother, every breakfast, lunch, and supper was all around the table. We didn't
mm,
sort of sit at an island at a bar. We didn't have such a thing. We sat at a farmhouse table, which was all, but it wasn't fancy. Do you
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, exactly.
It was just easy and it was just lovely. And you'd sit for hours, chatting, be it over a coffee at the end of a meal. And I
Yeah.
think that for me is what makes things really special. And I really want to make it as easy. And as you say, there are so many. I mean, Sky McAlpin writes these fabulous books where she brings friends around the table, and the recipes are. I mean, I've never taken to reading recipe books, but I do enjoy her story behind it, and she makes it easy. It's not
Mm,
about it being plated and whatever. It's about the abundance of a chicken roasted and put on the table. And I think that's the fun of it. I think making it uh, ideally not stressful is
yeah.
is what I want people to achieve. And just having a few staples that, just candles, that really does, you don't need any more than that. Lovely candles and a big pot roast or something.
Yeah, yeah. Anna, so what do you feel are your main learnings? You've been doing this for a while. You have a lovely partner. What are your takeaways?
I think we've learned a lot that, well, over the years, we've got better at delivering our message. And we sort of, because people can sometimes be a bit tentative, like, oh, I'm so busy. And the thing that we learn at the end is that taking that time to organize and put it together is so rewarding.
Mm,
And that has been, and the people we've met, I mean, we've met some fascinating people, and learning about what business has been made at our table is exactly what we want. Business, friendships, lots of it. And it's been, and it all came really from Instagram, which is ridiculous little squares on our phone. But meeting in real life makes the connection so special. I mean, Annie and I have met some truly fascinating, interesting people, and we wouldn't have met them sitting at our desk. Um,
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. So, what top tips can you give to somebody listening to this of how to create these spaces that we feel really at home in?
I would really think about your what you're trying to achieve as a person and what you want from a particular space, and don't definitely don't follow trends. I think if you're creating a lovely dining room, think about the light, what you would use it from at the moment. Like I say, we're living on a houseboat, so I'm working in my bedroom, which is completely fine, but it's not the perfect space, but it's you adapt, and I think it's just making our home really feel like it can adapt. It can
Mm,
adapt to what you need it, because my husband is sitting upstairs on the dining table and he works from there during the day. I work down here. We just like different things when he's away. I love sitting there. And I think it's just really recognizing what you need of a space and understanding it, and not just remembering who you are and not worrying
mm,
about what other people think. I think as long as you can, there are so many magazines, Pinterest, Instagram, so much that you can follow and get sort of like, oh, all these trends. Never follow trends. Fantastic. If you love the trend, then go
mm.
for it. But a trend will always date, and then you'll feel you'll have to redecorate for the next trend because you'll think, oh gosh, it looks like it was decorated in 2025 because I did X, Y, and Z. It's
Yeah.
very important to always think about what you love. And I, like I say, for me, art is really, really important. And coming to the boat, this boat is houseboat is beautifully appointed, but I would have said it was quite vanilla. So I
Mm,
wanted to add, I bought a couple of pictures from the house because it just gives you that personality. So in a rental, just think of the little things you could bring in, be it a tablecloth. It's really easy. Just have, if just to make a space feel warmer, add cushions, add, like I said, I'm still looking around what I've got here. It's easy to add things and just have fun. I think, like I say, people are always worried about what other people think, and I think it's really
mm.
important to think about yourself first of all.
And often it's those little things, right? It's a cushion here or there, or a little something that you bought in a um, I don't know, secondhand shop, and it means something to you.
Or you've been given by your great grandmother. Often those
Yeah.
pieces of furniture that in today's world need to work a lot harder for what we want them to do, but they
Mm,
are so beautifully made, and I think we have to hang on to those beautiful brown pieces of furniture. They're a story, and in our strap for our interiors is style with a story, and it's the little things I love looking, think, oh, I was given that by my mother, or my grandmother painted that, or and I think it's very important to recycle and make is what you're doing, but you're just using it and remembering it and enjoying it in a different way. And the easiest way for me to bring joy into my house is buy some flowers.
yeah,
You know,
definitely.
it's
Yeah.
the best way of getting a shot of color. There are so many fabulous flower farmers as well that you can find, and just, yeah, flowers for me make me smile.
Definitely. Anna, so what would you say are you most proud of to date?
I think the community we've created,
Mm,
the and the connections, and knowing that when we set it up, our idea was to help each other, but actually knowing that people have come away and making business together is is exactly what we wanted to do. And I think in this world, sharing is so important, and we're always learning. I love running our workshops because I'm learning, and they're workshops that I selfishly want to learn from as well. So they're things that I feel, you know, we, and we take a lot of time, and care and worry to make sure everyone feels comfortable. Because we had a lovely lady on Friday, and she, for a while, our photographer had said, you know, you must go, you'd love it there. And she's like, oh, I'm so nervous. And we don't want people, I mean, of course, we're all nervous, but the whole idea of it is to make you step out a little bit of your comfort zone, but to meet really, truly interesting people. And that for me has been a huge, I just love it, the people we've met, and are always meeting people. And that I really, really enjoy.
And I love that you have this more is more and that this sharing and helping each other, because I feel that this is something we need a lot more of, especially as women. It's something that men do better than we do. And it's holding us back often by not doing that, by not having this more is more mentality.
Mm.
So, what are your plans and goals, Anna and Annie?
Well, I think we want to keep on growing the community. We plan, technology is not my strong point, sadly. Creativity, fine, but technology, we are desperately trying to build at the back end of our website a sort of, I guess you call it a forum, but somewhere that people can, everyone who's been to a lunch can be part of, so the
Mm,
conversations can carry on, so they
yeah.
have that way of connecting. For us, that's very important, and to be able to take it outside London to give,
Mm.
because not everyone can travel. And we, like I say, we did a couple last year, which were really, really good fun, but harder for us because although our Instagram is on the World Wide Web, we seem to attract a London audience. So
Yeah.
just trying to learn how we can bring it further afield, and really sort of start offering our love of tablescaping. I'm not even sure that's a verb, but anyway, to become
It's now, it is now.
and really be able to offer it to people. I want people to be able to come to us and say, help, I'm hosting 50 people myself. Can you just help me? And just send them in the right direction. Say, brilliant, you could do this. How about that? What? And just keeping, yeah, just keeping asking questions, learning all the time, and just growing what we've achieved. And I'm excited sort of come the end of this year, being able to open my house back up again and use that space. And the space I'm designing for our kitchen dining room is very much around the idea of filling it with people. I want to have, you know, I love, nothing makes me happier, and particularly with my children, is when they fill the house with people and making sure they can, but yet they want us out of the way as well. Do you know what I mean? So for me, yes, and just I absolutely love. I love my interiors. I love the tablescaping, and just the way it's come together is sort of feels a very happy sort of synergy in some ways.
Anna, so what takeaways would you like our listeners to have from your story?
Give it a go. Don't be afraid. We as women particularly need to shout about each other. Priscilla, who's this fabulous marketeer, you know, always says a man would never say he couldn't do something, whereas a woman was like,
No.
oh, I'm not sure, we have imposter syndrome. I just think if you, I don't like this expression because reach out, but if you know, get in touch with people. And I often think picking up the phone is much easier. I know email is very easy to hide behind, but I think definitely ask for help, talk to people, and as women, we all want to help each other. And I, you know, more than anything, and Stephanie, I'm sure you feel the same. We can, and we're always learning, you know. So I love it when people come to me with ideas or I go to them. Just keep asking questions.
Yeah. And of course, we share that other. That's the whole reason for SheCan, that we champion each other, that we tell each other stories. And the easiest thing is for us all to promote each other and to buy from each other and to use each other's services, which is what men do very well already since a very long time. You know, invite each other on their podcasts and they do business together, and all of those things feels very natural to them, and it doesn't necessarily feel natural to us, and we often have a scarcity mindset. And so this more is more, and any woman that does the things around connection, collaboration, community, and promoting each other is exactly what we need. So thank you so much for telling your story for SheCan today. I would love for everyone to check out Truffles and Ruffles and AB Design and Interiors. You can really help people turn their interior spaces into beautiful homes, and you're a tablescaping expert, and that's now a word. And so if anyone, any business or person needs any help, Truffles and Ruffles is there for you. Thank you so much, Anna.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie, so much for inviting me on and taking the time. I really enjoyed meeting you.